Welcome to Assassin's Creed Valhalla, a game where you can aimlessly walk around for eternity without ever finding civilization. As you can see, I'm doing just that with my old pal Ivor, taking in the view of the beautiful landscape. I jump off a rock and decide it's time to continue the over 100-hour long main storyline. But before I do so, I choose to acquire a new skill. The only problem is, there's like 2 million of them. I decide to fast travel to a city and am immediately lectured on how to climb. I somehow teleport atop this cross and gracefully jump off of it into a pile of leaves, like any good Viking would. I later find myself parkouring and figure this is the most assassiny thing I'm gonna do in this game. It turns out I'm right, because I then start stalking this woman and watch her carefully hit a wood plank with a hammer, for no apparent reason. I decide to shoot her with my bow and go on my way. I try and force the game into letting me do assassin things by blending in with a group of hooded monks. I soon realize I'm far too short for these abnormally tall monks and sneak away as to not insult them. I find a drunk man in the middle of the road, and before I can say Assassin's Creed Valhalla, he dies. I quickly flee the scene of the crime and climb up a building as to not arouse suspicion. I enter a restricted area and proceed to make as much noise as humanly possible. I assassinate someone for the first time in my several hours of gameplay, because Ubisoft made a Viking RPG and stuck Assassin's Creed on its title. I once again resort to combat, and then make a ridiculous jump across this gap. I then crawl like a spider for no apparent reason. I kill a Saxon soldier and take the key. I then spend 10 minutes trying to find the door for the key, find nothing, and tend to make as much noise as possible while stealing some stuff. A true Viking game. I then attack these two soldiers and stop living the lie I've been attempting to show you. Come to terms with the fact that Assassin's Creed Valhalla is a combat-based game with little to no stealth, but somehow made over $1 billion, which is why I now refer to this game as Assassin's Creed. Sometime later, I'm riding on a path, minding my own business, when I am suddenly assaulted. I have an epic fight, and ended up being brutally murdered. This leads me to think about how wholesome of a way to die that was. I respawn and travel to my settlement, where I proceed to purchase shady items from a 9-year-old.
Salutations.
What do you have today?
His striking look coupled with an efficient
I
design.
buy a gothic helmet and walk away before he can entice me into accepting one of his many hit jobs.
Goodbye for now.
Classic 9-year-old stuff. I then decide to actually continue the storyline. My objective, to kidnap a king hiding where two rivers meet. I use my geographical skills I acquired in social studies class and find the camp quite easily. I intend to get on my longboat, but not before getting shouldered by a few of my fellow Vikings. We set sail, sing a few songs, and then I ask if anyone has a good story. My fellow story enthusiast begins to tell us one, and I quickly put an end to this by jumping off the boat.
A brooding warrior with a phased silver.
Cannot be the dead they're protecting. Must be blocked from the other side.
I attempt to shoot this foe from behind this door, but apparently arrows just aren't thin enough. I infiltrate the king's hideout and eliminate a few of his soldiers. I dive in this leaf pile for no reason. Hide behind a barrel as to see what they're doing. Climb up this oddly shaped wood structure. Confuse them. Stab one. And apparently, an axe to the back just doesn't kill people anymore. In fact, it barely hurt this guy. I get into an epic duel and mercilessly kill him, like the true assassin that I am. I start walking into this bunker and look for the king. I find a book of knowledge, which somehow unlocks a new ability for me. I finally find the king and decide to try out my new ability I've acquired. I freeze time and light this big boy up. Typical assassin stuff right there. I unlock the door, let myself in. The king is awfully surprised by this and goes for his sword. I insult his sword, which in turn gets me into a fight.
Do you mean to butter me?
I choose not to use my axe and rather use my hands as an alternative, because it makes his beating up all the more disrespectful. Thank you for watching, and remember to do at least 10 push-ups every day, as to stay as physically fit as Ivor.